Hello, beautiful people, and welcome. In today's video, we are going to be talking about compound interest. Let's start with the formula of A is equal to P times open 1 plus R over N, or divided by N. Close that parentheses. We're going to have an exponent, so I'm going to put a caret there. Open your parentheses, N times T, close it. This is a formula you need to have memorized for your upcoming chapter exam. Let's go ahead and define what these things are. A is going to be your after amount. After the investment, what is your money? That's your A. P is called your principal or your start value. One is just the number 1. N is going to be your number of compounds per year. So each year, and notice that we have 2 N's. So these are going to be the same N's. Next, we have T, which is your time in years. And then we're left with R. R is your rate as a decimal. So there's going to be a conversion. With these type of questions, typically we're looking at word problems. So we'll do 1 or 2 examples, and then you'll be able to use this formula with your classwork. Example number 1. If you deposit $4,000 into an account paying 6% annual interest compounded quarterly, how much money will you have in 5 years? All right, let's go ahead and discuss. Here's a typical question that I get. Well, how do I know which formula to use? And my response is, well, you got to read. For example, if you see the word compounded, you're gonna use the compound formula, okay? So if you don't see the word compounded, don't use the formula. Use your other growth and decay. Here we do see a compound, and that compound is quarterly. We'll talk about that in just a few seconds. But let's go ahead and backtrack, and let's start reading about our life situation. We are first depositing $4,000. That means this 4,000 is going to be my starting amount. And this account is paying us 6% as an annual interest rate. Now, it doesn't use the word rate, but because it's a percentage, it's going to be our rate that needs to be converted into a decimal. To do that, you're going to be placing a dot, a decimal point at the end, and you're going to shift 2 jumps to the left. If you have a decimal or if you don't have a decimal, because it's a percentage, we still have to shift it 2 jumps to the left. So again, I'm going to rewrite this. Here's 6%. Here's 1 jump. 2 jumps. Now we are putting a placeholder. So my actual rate that we can use in the formula is going to be 0.06. I'm going to put this in a thinking bubble so we don't lose it. The starting amount was $4,000. Now we have compounded quarterly. We need to define that. Well, again, we'll talk about that in a moment. And then how much money will you have in 5 years? So 5 years is going to be your time in the number of years. Okay, now that we have read through it, let's talk about this compounding that we are being asked to do, actually. Quarterly. There are keywords. I'm going to shift this paper off to the side. There are keywords that we have in our math problems, especially for compounding. These words are indications of how many times things happen in 1 year. So things like quarterly, semi-annually, all of these have meanings. So let's write out our keywords. All right, so let's start with semi-annually. Semi-annual means that it is calculated twice a year. So each year, your interest is going to be calculated twice. So that means your compounds, your N, is going to be 2. Quarterly, which is what we have, means that it is going to be compounded, calculated 4 times a year. So that means my N value is now 4. There's also bi-monthly, which means every other month. Calculation. And if it happens every other month, there's 12 months in a year, that means our compounds is 6. And we have monthly, which is compounded. Again, calculated is another word. Every month for an end value of 12. So these are going to be our common ones. So let's go back to our question. Since we have compounded quarterly, that means our end value is going to be 4. So how do you use the formula? Given all of this information, you're just going to plug and chug and plug it into the calculator. Let's start with our A value. P is our starting amount. So how much money are we starting with? We're starting with $4,000 times open big 1 plus fraction. The R value needs to be in the form of a decimal, 0.06. Percentages are not allowed. Your N value was 4, close it, caret, and then here we have our N value, also 4, times T. How long are we waiting for? We are waiting for 5 years. Now, when you are typing this into a calculator, I am going to input an extra parentheses, and that parentheses will go around your fraction. If you will not put these parentheses in, your calculator will give you a wrong answer. Must be here. So extra parentheses. Go ahead and pick up a calculator, and let's type this in. 4 0, 0, 0 times open 1 plus, here's the important part, 1, sorry, parentheses, right? Let's try this again. 4, 0, 0, 0 times open 1 plus, again, another 1, another parentheses, not a 1, but a parentheses. Now we're typing in 0.6. Oh, I am all tripped up with my numbers. I'm going to try this one more time. 4, 0, 0, 0 times open 1 plus open 0.06 divided by 4. Careful here. Close the purple, close the black. Then we got caret for the exponent. Another set of parentheses, 4 times 5. Close it. Enter. Okay. Now, when you get an answer, we actually want to write down everything that we see. 5387.420026. Because after we write things down, we're going to round to the nearest tenth. Now, we're talking about money. Money has 2 decimal places, so that's what we're going to do. 2 decimal places are here. I'm going to put a little bar. I'm also going to look at the number behind it. Now, I don't care about 0 to 6. That's not important. It's this 0 that I care about. And if this number right here is going to be 5, 6, 7, 8, or 9, then I would need to round up. Since it's not, we're going to keep it the exact same number it is. So $5,387.42 is the amount after 5 years with a 6% rate. Compounded quarterly. All right, let's do one more example, and then I'll let you go to do your classwork. Oh, here are our keywords. All right, example number 2. If you deposit $6,500 into an account paying 8% annual interest, compounded monthly, how much money will be in the account after 7 years? Let's see if I can spell account. Now, in the previous example, I spent a lot of space. I took a lot of space identifying things. We don't have to do that. We don't have to do separate identifications. You can just type it into your calculator as you go, or you can just highlight. So for example, here's our starting amount. We know that we are going to need to convert this 8% into a decimal. So that means 2 jumps to the left. 0.08 is our rate. We are being compounded. That's the formula we use, compounded monthly. So that means compounded monthly. How many times a year? Well, if it happens every month, that means we are going to be calculating this compound 12 times in a year. How much money will be in the account after 7 years? So here's our time. And instead of writing everything out off to the side, we can just highlight, identify things in the English, and then we can immediately jump into writing things out as a formula. So our answer A is going to equal to our starting amount, $6,500, times open 1 plus fraction. Our rate is 0.08 as a decimal. The compounds we're doing is 12, close it, caret, open. Compounds is 12 for 7 years. Remember, very important, we do need to place extra parentheses around our fraction. If you do not do this, your calculator will give you the wrong answer and it will be marked wrong. This is called a calculator error. All right, let's type this in. 6500 times open, 1 plus open, 0.08 divided by 12, close it, caret, open, 12 times 7, close it, equals. Again, we're going to write everything down for rounding. 11358.2433, rounding to the nearest hundreds, 2 decimal places, which means I'm looking at the 3, the next number, which is smaller than 5. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. We are staying the way that we are. So that means my answer is going to be my after amount, $11,358.24. Be careful on rounding. People get very upset if you take away their money. So make sure you round correctly. All right, beautiful people, that is it for compound. You have 3 formulas: growth, decay, and now compound. Thank you.